Hello there, Curvis, and welcome to the 57th episode of the podcast. Woot woot! This podcast is called Curve the Cube, and it's brought to you by Flintstone Media, aka me, moi, Jemmy, your host and producer. And I'm so excited to have you on this podcast, listening in. And on this episode, the guest is the fantastic, gifted level fantastic drummer Nat Stokes. He is unbelievable. I've known Nat for a number of years. We go to the same church, and he plays in the band there, and that's how we met. And to see him blossoming with his career and really just taking its new levels and new heights, it's just every time I turn around I'm like, you're doing what? And he's fantastic. So I was so excited to have him on this podcast to sit down and tell me how he does it, how he has been successfully pursuing a career as a drummer. So he gets into all of that. He talks about his upbringing and how, the church influenced his drumming and his music, when he started drumming, how he decided to pursue it, when he studied music, etc., 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 and how he finds all these new opportunities and gigs and stuff. And like I said, he's just super, super talented. His latest project is with this group called Black Violin. He's about to do a bit of a tour with them. And Black Violin is a couple of guys who play the violin, and they are phenomenal at it. And at the very end of the podcast, you'll hear a little bit of a taste, a little mini clip from their cover of All Day. And Kanye West song All Day, which features a nice drumming outro by the very Nat Stokes himself. So look up Black Violin's videos on YouTube, and you'll see a bunch of them with Nat in them. Look up, just like YouTube him, Nat Stokes, and you'll see a bunch of other videos. He's also has his own YouTube channel, Nat Brat 19 Drums. Yeah, look him up. Look him up on social media, and you'll be so happy you did. And like I said, he's also part of the church group called Live Hymnal, and you can look them up all over the internet as well. In Live Hymnal, if you go to curvetecube.com and look under the tab SJU Friends, it stands for St. Joe's Unplugged Friends, you'll see a couple other interviews with a couple other band members from Live Hymnal, most notably, of course, Charles Milling, the frontman for Live Hymnal. So, and over time, I'm going to try to get all of them onto this podcast because they're all unbelievably talented and inspirational. So enjoy this, the 57th episode of the Curve the Cube podcast, which is brought to you by No Hard Feelings Tattoo Shop, Big Brain 2. Now, you may recall on a previous episode that I featured Chris Blinston. He was episode 31, and he is a super talented tattoo artist. He was on season 6 of Ink Master, came in second, but everybody knows that he should have been the winner, because whatever, he's phenomenal. So, check out his podcast, and also go to his website, chrisblinston.com. And if you go into, or bigbrain2.com also, if you go into his shop and you mention Curve the Cube, you'll get 10% off, which is amazing. And so check him out. Thank you to DJ John Hitta for the music beds. And may I be the first to say Happy New Year. And I'm so glad that this episode with Nat can be the final episode of 2015. I'm very proud of that. And so Happy New Year to you all. Sit back and relax and enjoy this, the 57th episode of the Curve the Cube podcast. Oh, and be sure to follow Curve the Cube on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. And with that, I'll shut up and say enjoy. Love y'all. Curve the Cube will now initiate. What are you up to today? You just got back from Dallas, right?
Yeah, got back late Sunday night.
Yeah.
Slept till like 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon because I was exhausted.
What were you doing in Dallas?
Had to play for some private party.
Oh, okay.
Some benefit thing. It was like 2,000 people.
Wow.
But it was cool.
Who were you playing with?
This corporate band from out of Miami called Project Soul.
Okay.
So it was cool. It was long though. We played 3 hours straight.
Jeez.
Dance music. So I actually bled for the first time on the drums.
No way.
I caught a blister and it
What?
It popped while I was playing. That never happens.
Oh, jeez. You must have played hard.
Oh, yeah. Dance music, 3 hours. No breaks. Just imagine running on the treadmill for 3
I can
hours.
only imagine. How did you get involved with them?
Just word of mouth, and a couple of my friends playing that band.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and whenever I'm in town, they always hit me up, and they, are you available to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I can do it. If not, get a sub or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you're so good.
I'm alright.
You're so good.
I just get the job done. That's the main thing.
Well, first off, I want to say I apologize in advance for my voice. It's like a little rough. I
didn't even notice.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm recovering from not a late night, but just wore myself out the last couple of weeks. Running rampant the last couple of weeks. So I'm like trying to take it easy. I have a little throat lozenge, so I'll be okay. We'll get through this.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, I'm so glad to have you on the podcast. I'm wanting to ask you to be on it for a long time, but I gotta.
It took you so long.
Well, because let's see, I've had Charles and Maddie. Maddie, I had to grab her when she was in town, and then you started traveling so much. So I'm like, okay, let me start to grab him. But I wanted to like space people out. I didn't want like a St. Joe's month. You know what I mean? Like y'all St. Joe's. So I had to like space people out. Sorry, I've got to turn my phone off.
Make sure mine is on vibrate.
Oh, my bad.
Any given second,
So, so I'm so glad to have you, and of course this one's going off too. Jeez Louise. I have too many electronic devices, and they're all linked, and this is what happens. Decline. Look at you. Everything's a beat for you. So, how old were you when you first picked up drumsticks?
Maybe, my parents say 3.
Yeah,
I would say 3. My godmom, she passed a couple years ago, but she was like, you was playing drums when you were like 2.5 years old.
Reminds me of somebody.
Right. Look, man, when it's there, you can't deny it.
For anybody who doesn't know, I'm talking about my son.
Little Jordan.
Little Jordan, who admires you like crazy. I mean, I think every Sunday he like picks and chooses who he's going to focus on, and some days it's you. Some days it's like back and forth between Charles and Richie. Some days it's Lance. Some days it's Bob. Like he'll come home and he'll just be on his keyboards all day the rest of the day. It's so funny. I actually took a video of him the other day singing Frosty the Snowman while playing the keyboard. It was hilarious. But anyways, yeah, so I mean, to hear you say that you've been doing this since you were that young is no surprise, no shock whatsoever. What did your parents say you were like when you were that little and doing it? Did you just find anything you could say with?
My dad, he often tells a story to people where he was like, we were living in an apartment because I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So it's like East Flatbush, well not East Flatbush, but like this area, Ocean Avenue or whatever. And they had these apartment buildings, crazy neighborhood or whatever. So he would tell the story about how like the landlord would like come upstairs and he'd be like, yo, like you gotta stop banging on these pots and pans. And he's like, I am not banging on pots and pans. So like after about 3 months, like, he was just like, he told the landlord, come in and like watch, and he was just like, oh, that's been your son the whole time.
Oh my god.
And it's always like, I always wanted to play on anything I could get my hands on.
Yeah. Do you have any idea where you first saw it or where that came from? I mean,
I come from
your dad?
a musical family. Both of my parents are musicians, but nobody really plays drums though. So
yeah. So who knows? Maybe just the company they kept or something like that. That's so interesting. Did you take lessons or how did you learn? Like, how did you firstly learn?
I learned just watching and playing in church.
Yeah.
And then my parents are musicians, so you hear a lot of music throughout the house and in the car. Everyone, they went to like a lot of different concerts back then. So I was just like I would always be like glued to the where the musicians were, and I would watch from afar and just developing an ear and listening. So
Yeah.
No teacher till I got to college.
Yeah. What was your favorite musical influences when you were little? Was it all church music, or was there other like jazz, or what else did you like?
No, I really didn't get into jazz till older, but it was like mostly church music. It's this artist, like he's my favorite artist to this very day. This guy named James Hall. So he's like very big. He fused jazz and gospel music together, but it's Christian music, and Stevie Wonder, of course, that's like my other biggest influence.
Yeah, yeah. Is it, well, that's interesting that you admire someone who fuses jazz and gospel music, because as soon as you said that, I immediately thought of Charles, who fuses hymnals and New Orleans jazz music. So that's kind of funny that I guess it just carries itself forward, right? Meant to be. So would you say you had a musical mentor? Is there someone that you looked toward, or was it just you absorbed it as everywhere you could?
Every drummer I saw, I wanted to. It was just like, I wanted to do what he was doing.
Yeah.
So, and not having a teacher, just trying to mimic as best as I could what I heard or what I saw.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, it's done you well.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so when did you finally own your first set?
Nah, this is gonna be crazy. Nobody believes me when I say this. I was almost 19 years old.
What? See, add me to the list. I don't believe you.
halfway through my freshman year in college.
Wow.
Because my mom, they was cool, but she was like, yo, you're not going to have all that noise in this house.
Right.
And coming up with two younger brothers, it's always
enough noise.
Yes. It's always mayhem between the play fighting and everything else, so.
Right, because you're the oldest of three.
Yes.
Okay, no sisters, right?
I have my dad, he had a daughter before he married my mom.
Okay.
I have like an older sister. I don't want to get to lying about her age, but she's in her 30s. She's older than me.
I'm sure she doesn't want you to tell the truth either.
Right. She's a little older than I am. A little bit. You gotta be careful because she might be listening when we put it out.
Right. Watch back.
Exactly. I love her though, Sharice. I love you.
Aww. That's great. So when you were deciding that you wanted a set, like, what did you look for? How did you get it? How does that work? Because a lot of people, I'm thinking about Jordan, he's going to want a set one day. he has his little play sets, but, that can be a big decision, bringing a drum set into the house.
Yeah, like it was, for one, growing up playing in a lot of churches, a lot of churches I played at, they never really had the best drum sets as far as quality.
Yeah.
But you learn how to tune the heads on the drums and you learn how to make it sound decent. So I was like, well, if I get a decent but cheap kit, I'll be able to make it sound good. And I went to Guitar Center in Jacksonville. It was like November, I want to say. Mm-hmm. November, and I was just like, what do they have? And the guy, his name was Sam Johnson, he helped me out, and I made like payments on it.
Yeah. How many pieces were in it?
It was a six piece drum set. I got the what's called the tom mounts that attach the toms to the bass drum. Mm-hmm. But other than that, no hardware. I had to buy it all separately.
Wow.
So but it was like
you're on a mission.
Yeah, man. I got it on sale too, because if it wasn't on sale, I wasn't gonna get it. So. But man, and I still use, that's like my main drum set 10 years later. Yeah. To this very day.
Did you play drums in high school for the school band or something?
I played drums for the jazz band in high school, but I played saxophone for the marching band.
I didn't know you played sax.
Yeah.
Do you still play at all?
No. I haven't played in a long time.
Long time.
But
oh my gosh.
I played trombone in 6th grade before we moved down to Florida. So
you should pick it back up just as a surprise for everybody on Sunday one day, and all of a sudden you'll walk out, you'll pick up your sax from behind your drum kit, and people are like, "What the hell is he doing?"
He plays sax too? No way. No, actually,
y'all didn't know.
Right, I picked one up. I picked my little cousin back in Brooklyn. I was hanging out last year, and he picked up the sax or whatever. And I took it and I was messing around and I was like, oh, it's still the same, but it was just as far as the wind and being able to sound decent, it was horrible. Yeah, it's
it's a whole different physical thing you have to know whenever you're doing wind instruments or something like that.
And it didn't help that we was play fighting earlier.
So, oh, well, of course.
You gotta rough the youngins up, so.
So how would you describe what it is about the drums that moves you so much? You've had this passion in you since you were teeny weeny.
Well, in my life sometimes drums is the only thing that makes sense to me. I could be feeling however I'm feeling, happy, sad, tired, what have you. But like as soon as I sit behind some drums, it's just like, you know, it's just like it's an extension of me. You know, people say with instruments, like you play who you are.
Yeah.
So you know, I just let the drums speak for me. And, you know, a lot of people, they've never even heard me talk before, but they be like, "Yeah, you kill those drums though." You know, so
Yeah.
you know, that's my way of speaking.
Gotcha. Because I remember when I've always been fascinated with music. I've always been fascinated with people who can really just naturally play it. So I remember, you know, if I was little, I'd see specials about kids who, you know, I'm thinking of someone who maybe was autistic, and all of a sudden their parents woke up in the middle of the night to this beautiful piano playing, and it was their kid, you know, or someone who picked up a violin when they were 3 and just nailed it from jump. Is it like, do you see a drum set and see the music? Like, are you just able to play anything that is in your head?
Well, sometimes, yeah. A lot of times, you know, it all depends on the music that I'm playing in the context. Now, if I'm just sitting down by myself and I want to like get some ideas out of my head, you know, through the rudiments and the things, all the techniques and all the stuff that I've learned, I'll like, you know, try to apply it then to kind of like get out what's inside my head.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you know, sometimes it all depends.
Yeah, because what's awesome about watching you play with the band, and what's awesome about all of you really is that you know, there is a set direction when you start to play. But you can see it mostly, especially when you do, I don't know, for lack of a better word, the outro at the end of service.
Oh, we just jam,
yeah, like
just
you guys
vibing.
the flow just naturally kicks in, and you guys immediately pick up. It's like instantaneous. It's almost like watching a flock of birds just all change direction at the same time.
Right.
It's really magical to see that, and I don't think all musicians have that in them, and you have it in you.
Well, this particular group at Live Hymnal, like they're amazing because everybody in that group is a great listener. And in order for you to be a great musician, you have to be a great listener. We all pay attention to what's going on around, and we become so used to each other. Yeah. You know, so we can feel when somebody is about to move in a different direction, and you know, we're just like having fun. And a lot of those guys, you know, they have all the fundamentals, but you know, like for me, it's heart before the beat. So a lot of we're playing our heart up there, you know, and it's all in sync. So it makes it even that more magical when like people see it, they're like, oh my gosh,
right,
you know?
right.
So,
how did you end up becoming part of Live Hymnal? Charles has told me his version of the story, but you tell me your version of the story.
I got a call from Charles a few years ago, and he was just like, yeah, I'm looking for a drummer for church, and I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, you were recommended by Diogo, the bass player. Because I had filled in with Diogo a couple of times on some pop music, you know, some cover band stuff. And yeah, so, you know, Charles reached out, but unfortunately I was busy and I couldn't do it. The first couple of times he reached out and we finally got it together, and it was just like, the first time I was like, okay, we got something here. We got something here, and you know, and I just really loved the vibe that he had, and you know, and everybody else that was there was like super sweet, and yeah,
just worked. Yeah, I've often called Charles a music note with legs. That's just not the best way I can describe it. So what's the largest drum set you can play? Like, how have you progressed? Is that even an accurate way to describe progressing through drumming? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. It depends on what you're being called to do and how many pieces you need. Because with drums, if you get called for different gigs, you want to mimic as many sounds as possible. Yeah. That the artist uses. You know, so if that requires for you to have a 32-piece kit with 13, 14, 15 cymbals, so be it. But I haven't done anything. And personally, you know, I think I do good with the smaller sets anyway. I like challenging.
Like, what's your ideal?
My ideal kit is probably like a 5-piece drum kit, 6 cymbals, maybe another snare added on, and, you know, so yeah.
So I dabbled in drumming for about a month and a half, several years ago, and what I found was interesting, and I really wish I could have really dove into it, but what I found was interesting was, okay, because you have, your two hands are going, your 2 feet are going,
Yeah.
and it's like, there's not just the left side, right side. It's like, there are quarters of your brain that have to work in symmetry, but individually at the same time.
Yeah.
And that to me is fascinating. Have you ever figured out if there are other elements of your personality or the way your mind works that are influenced by that, or like end up being the same, like the way that maybe you analyze relationships with people, or
Well, I know I'm a
math or anything? Yeah.
My brain it's always like scattered all the time, and I'm a great multitasker.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to doing,
Right.
So I can be talking to you, texting, and listening to music in one ear, still carry on a full conversation, still know where the music is at.
Right.
And like still having a full conversation with somebody else.
Right.
So yeah, it definitely.
And solving quadratic equations with the left hand.
Right. While moonwalking and chewing gum.
You're amazing. Totally.
So, it definitely extends.
That's incredible to me. That's really fascinating to me. So, so now both of your parents are pastors, right?
Yeah, they're ordained reverends. They're not pastors over a particular church, but they co-pastor. This guy I call him my uncle, Pastor Anthony Graham, and his wife Susan Graham. So, but yeah, they co-pastor. They do. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna go ahead.
They do everything, man. They do. They officiate weddings. They counsel couples that think they want to get married, and they counsel married couples also. So yeah, so they got a lot on their plate.
Yeah. So being in the church has been a huge compass for you in your life.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of your drumming, how would you say learning and playing in that environment has shaped your drumming skills or philosophy or anything like that? Or
if I didn't come up playing in the church today, we probably wouldn't be here.
Really?
Yeah, because in church, especially the churches that we, predominantly black church or the Pentecostal church. I grew up as a Nazarene for a little bit in New York, but you're playing just about every genre in church. You might be playing a funk groove, and you might go to like a classic rock feel. You might end up playing some type of Latin vibe, Spanish vibe too, all in church. So you hear things, and it like best of all that I truly believe it helps is that you are able to help create an atmosphere as far as musically. So,
That's true. It allows you to think of the music from the listener's perspective.
Exactly.
Would that be correct? Yeah.
And then it just helps you to read. You're able to read people. You're able to read a room. As far as like what you might need to do to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
As far as that particular service.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Totally. So I'm going to ask you about something because I really want your perspective on it. As a church drummer, we had the news a few months ago of the killing of Corey Jones.
Right.
And I think I shared with you that when I first heard about it, I immediately thought of you.
I got several calls. I was in Chicago at that when I heard about that.
Yeah, I mean, what was that impact for you? What were your first thoughts?
Man,
I know you didn't know him personally, but it's.
Yeah, I didn't know him personally. We might have been in the same building at one point or another because the music community down here is so small.
Right.
And a lot of musicians, they get together and they do what's called shedding, which is practicing and sharing ideas. But it's you never want to hear of injustices like that at all. But for me, it was very close to home because I also play late at night. I've also been in situations where my car's broken down.
Right.
I've been on the phone with my parents, till I got home, until somebody came.
Right.
But yeah, just thinking it could have been me, it could have been my brother, it could have been any one of my colleagues.
Right.
So it hit really close to home.
Right.
And it's very unfortunate because, it's no coming back from that. It's no coming back from that.
Yeah, and it's hard to think what he could have done different. From what we understand happened, it's hard to think what could he have done different.
Yeah.
I remember I watched the he had periscoped some drumming from that night before it happened, and I immediately found the feed and I watched it, and I'm just thinking, this is just a kid doing his thing.
Right.
You know, and it really was disheartening to see how that night ended up for him. And so does that change your outlook at all when you're approaching a gig, or has your behavior been influenced by that at all?
Yeah, I've checked up on a couple since I'm traveling a lot with Black Violin. You know, we're most of the time we're together. So we're not, but as far as like my friends that are doing some of these late night gigs or whatever, it's always cool to be like, yo man, like let me know when you get home, or just keep me posted.
Yeah.
So you don't want to lose anybody.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose anybody.
That's true. Speaking of Black Violin, so I'm thinking about, the stereotype. You got 3 black dudes walking down the street. And some people might immediately, clutch their purse and look the other side of the street. And I'd be in the ear like, dude, he's a kid of 2 pastors, and, they play the violin. Like, when you chill. So how did you meet them? How did that whole thing get arranged and get started?
All the stories in my life are very interesting with gigs and everything. It's always been something unexpected. And they reached out. The main guy, Kevin, he reached out, and it was through a friend of his that I only worked with one time. We worked together one night. I was filling in for another drummer, and he was like, oh well, for what you're looking for, I think Nat, he'll probably fit it best. So he reached out to me, and everything was just too soon for me, and I was like, well, I had stuff to do because they wanted me to fly out the week after, and I was like, well, I have different things I need to do.
Yeah.
It's not going to work this time, but just keep me posted.
Yeah.
And so we end up doing this gig after Thanksgiving in Delray with this guy Drew Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
And
just this last Thanksgiving?
And I was
gonna say, because you look that okay. I was
maybe 3.
Man, you really got yourself in there in the last say 3 weeks. Okay. Clarification. All right, I understand now.
3 Thanksgivings ago.
Okay.
He comes on. Kevin is on. He's on the gig as one of the guest musicians. It was we had somebody playing the tabla. We had somebody playing violin.
What's the tabla?
It's this Indian instrument with your fingers.
Okay, I think
it's really dope.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, and it was just a lot of stuff going on. And so here he is, and this is his first time meeting him. He was like, well, I hope I get to hear you play. And it was just I checked him out, because I checked him out, and it was just for what you want, this is the total opposite of, what you're going to be looking for, but, whatever. So then, I'm playing with brushes and just very soft jazz stuff, and then very once in a while using sticks. But when I did, I made it count, and he liked what he heard, and then they wanted to try a couple drummers out, and it finally worked out for me to be with them. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I filled in with them a couple times, once in January and once in February, the year after, which was 2013. Mm-hmm. No, 2014, sorry. Mm-hmm. And then I was waiting to get a call for another gig, but it fell through, and they asked me, August 2014, I was like, well, we want to give you a couple months to try out the gig starting in October. And I was like, all right, cool. It worked out, and I was like, I'm down. And then from then on, I've been with them since October 2014.
That's awesome. I didn't realize you've been working with them. I knew it had been a few months, but I didn't realize it'd been that long. Over a year now.
Yeah, a year.
Wow. So I saw the video collaboration that you guys did was a project where you guys covered several different songs.
Yeah.
It looks like something you guys did kind of recently.
Oh yeah, we did that over the summer. It was the Redefined series.
Mm-hmm.
And we just wanted to cover several tunes or whatever, and just showcase what the guys can do on the violin, and me and the DJ SPS, that's my guy right there, man.
Shout out.
Yeah, man. Will too. I love Will and Maritza and Juan. They're all great people.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to showcase that and just give it to you differently.
Yeah. So where was that taped?
That was down in Miami. I want to say, close to Coral Gables.
Where's Black Violin from?
They are out of Plantation, actually, Fort Lauderdale.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was good that they were pretty close too.
Yeah.
Nice. How old were you when you moved to Florida?
I was 12. We moved to Daytona Beach.
Yeah.
And then I went to school in Jacksonville from 2005 to 2009. Then came here to do more school 2009 through 2012.
And what did you study in school?
I did jazz studies for my undergrad at University of North Florida in Jacksonville, and I got my master's in jazz performance.
That's right, I remember
at University of Miami.
And you were, because you were already involved in Life Hymnal when you were doing that, right?
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember you going through school
my second year doing it, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say was your biggest takeaway from your formal education in music? Is there something that you tap into?
I think I learned, my biggest lesson wasn't even music. It was just how to deal with people.
That can be a big lesson.
And I'm a cool kid, but I can be very stubborn at times. So, but yeah, that was the biggest thing I took away.
Chill out. Not worry about getting your own way so much.
Yeah. So,
However, you need to learn the lesson.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Excuse me. So, I know your brother Ben.
Yes, Benjamin, aka Bennett.
I know that he is also drumming. And what's it like? Because I know So I watched the video of you teaching Jordan. Like probably at least once a month. I tap into that video and watch it again because it is so endearing and cute, and I just love it both the times.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't help but think, like, do you realize that you're a role model? And I'm thinking about your brother and how he's drumming, and what's it like to know that there are eyes on you who are watching you and looking up to you? What's that like? That part.
You gotta put your best foot. I feel you have to put your best foot forward on and off of any bandstand.
Yeah.
And it's whether you like it or not, you gotta know that somebody's younger looking at you. I'm the oldest of three.
Yeah.
So everything I was doing or whatever, they might have been around, but they were always looking very watchful, especially musically, especially Benjamin.
Yeah.
My middle brother Marcus, he used to play drums also, but he's a DJ, so he's doing that whole thing. But yeah, I don't take it for granted, especially with the younger ones looking up to me.
Yeah.
I feel it's very important because you might be the only positive thing they see.
Yeah.
You never know. So you always have to keep that in mind.
That's true. I never really thought about it that way, but a lot of kids don't have a lot of good around them.
Right.
And sometimes they will, like a laser lens, focus in on that one thing that they can pull inspiration from, and you don't want to let them down.
Right, and music being the universal language, that transcends any language barrier, any class, whatever. A kid from Taiwan might see a drum video and just be like, yo, I want to do that.
Absolutely.
If he digs it, he might want to do that.
Absolutely. Actually, that's funny you say that. I'm not even sure how I came across it. I don't know if it was Facebook or what it was. But it was this guy singing, I think he was singing like gospel music or something, right? This black dude, maybe 250 in his apartment singing some gospel just off the cuff. It was slamming it, killing it. But at the same time, what the person who produced the video, what they did was they split the screen. And on the other side of the screen was a kid who was imitating him. He was from Asia. Maybe I saw it on your feed, I don't know. But I saw it somewhere. Imitating him.
Was he playing the
on
bass?
The guitar? Yes! So you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about? It's like that. And I thought that was incredible. Because who knows this first dude being a bit from, who knows, Georgia.
Right.
Who knows where he's from. And then this other kid was probably halfway around the world.
Right.
But yet they were connecting in this unbelievable way. I thought it was wonderful.
That kid was killing.
He was great. He made the bass the guy's voice. It was really incredible.
Right. way he mimicked and he felt his way around what he was doing.
I loved it.
It was amazing.
I loved it. So, okay, so another question for you, because I have a lot of nicknames for my kid. I mean, just a ton of them, right? But one of them that I call Jordan is, I call him Bean. I call him Bean all the time. I'm like, Babe, why come here, Bean? And I noticed that your brother calls you Beans, and I wanted to know, can you share this origin of the nickname Beans?
From high school till now, I've always used the phrase "cool beans."
Ah.
So I remember having a MySpace account back in the day.
Yeah.
That was you didn't have to put your real name.
Yeah.
So I used to say "cool beans." So that's what people knew me. Some people knew me as. So he always called me Beans.
Oh, that's so funny.
So yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Because I call Jordan that literally several times a day. That's so funny. All right. And so so clearly your career you're on our way up. You've hooked up with Black Violin. There's so many great projects you guys are doing. When you were as passionate as you were about drumming since always, right? Was there ever a time in your life when you didn't see this as your future, or you questioned whether or not it could be your future?
Yeah, well, I didn't even honestly see it as a future till I was about 17, 18, because of the fact that growing up in a talented family, even my extended family, we have singers, we have other musicians too, but it's often looked at as a hobby.
Yeah.
So I was like, I had it all set. I'm like, yo, I'll play drums, as a hobby, but I'm gonna be an anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist.
It's $250,000 a year, 12 weeks off. Like I had it all figured out.
Saxophone playing anesthesiologist.
Right, exactly.
Lull your patients to sleep.
So that's what it was until we were in New York, Thanksgiving. Like 2000 and I want to say 2003. Yeah, 2003. And then it was my junior year in high school, and I have an aunt that works at NYU, and then one of my cousins, she's a dentist, I believe, or maybe not. I don't know. But
she either is or she isn't. One or the other.
Or maybe she was going to dental school or whatever. So it's like, they brought all these applications, and I was just like looking at all this stuff, and I was just like, and then I remember being in high school and with the jazz band, and we would play against. I went to a regular high school, mainland high school in Daytona, from Daytona Beach, and we would play against art schools, and different such that in Florida or whatever, the different art schools, their jazz programs.
Yeah.
And we all have the festival competitions where you get a superior, excellent, or whatever. And I was looking at some of these guys, and I'm like, yo, they have teachers, and I'm just playing, in church by ear, but I'm just like, I'm just feeling something different. And when I was sitting, I was like, you know what, maybe I can play drums for real. As far as an actual career, maybe not just a hobby.
Yeah.
And I was just, because I love that more than anything else.
Yeah.
So drumming, I was just like, you can play drums, you're pretty good, but you gotta get a real job. So, and then I was just like, man, maybe I could do this drum stuff and this just music stuff.
Yeah.
And be able to live comfortably.
Did you actively pursue gigs? Like, how did you first start getting gigs?
I didn't even start really gigging until I moved to South Florida, which was 6 years ago. But I was always familiar with all types of repertoire because I just love music, So when I lived up in Jacksonville, it was still playing at church, but every now and then, it'll be I'll get called to fill in on a gig here and there. And then I play with a rock band for a few months called Bury Me Standing. That was the name of the group in 2007, a little bit of 2008 also. But I wasn't, I was just, learning and just really trying to focus on getting out of school.
Yeah. Gotcha. And so the gigs just kind of started to flow your way?
Yeah, it was, every once in a while, I get called to do something here and there. And then, when I moved down to South Florida, I had no choice but to be thrown in the gig fire, and it's like, okay,
gig fire.
You gotta survive. You
Yeah.
gotta survive, So.
Yeah. Okay. So, one thing Charles has said to me about you is, at least on the positive, because he says so much negative. I'm just kidding. Is that
Whatever Charles says.
is that no matter what he throws at you, you can do it. That he said something about, I bet he lost me because I don't know anything about music, but he said something about like a triple B, that like not everybody can get a triple B, but you get a triple B, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, Charles, whatever, I don't know what you're saying. But what I gleaned from that is that you have tackled a lot of different, and you've touched on this with when you're talking about church, you've tackled a lot of different styles of drumming.
Yeah.
Is there a style of drumming that you feel that you still haven't learned yet, or that you want to learn, or do you feel like you've pretty much gotten it?
I feel that you have it's two categories in music and in life.
Mm-hmm.
You have the familiar, and you have the unfamiliar.
Mm-hmm.
So, being in school and being in church, you get to tackle, especially in school, you get to tackle a lot of unfamiliar territory.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the unfamiliar territories I have is like a lot of different, probably odd meters music, a lot of some of the fusion music.
Okay.
I can still play it, but it's just like I've never really been called to play fusion music like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I just feel like jazz. Sometimes I feel like I can attack that a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So. Everything else is, that requires drums is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I also gotta step my double bass game up.
When there's
the 2 feet.
Oh jeez.
I gotta step that up a little bit. But,
Well, to see you play, you would never guess that you have any room to improve. Like you
always
kill
room.
it.
It's always room for improvement, from technique to just accuracy around the drums.
Yeah.
It's always room. I'm always wanting them. You always want to be better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's your, and here's, might be my last Charles reference. I know I've dropped it
It's
like a
all
million
good.
times, but
I love Charles.
I know.
If we're gonna talk about anybody but me, Charles is cool.
So he told me that when he was looking for people for Live Hymnal, that one of the things he wanted to see in somebody was he wanted to know that they had the right why for why they were playing. What is your why for why you play?
Why not? It's a blessing to be given a gift that you can use to help others, to bless others.
Yeah.
And if I can be that conduit to help somebody, come out of whatever they might be going through, or just to help brighten up their day even more, I feel like I've done my job, and I get to do it through something that I love doing.
Yeah.
And it's just an extension of myself.
Totally.
So.
What's been your favorite gig or favorite moment at a gig?
Oh man. Favorite moment at a gig was last year I went to Brazil with John Cicada.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You did not. I didn't know that.
It was last
That's
August.
amazing.
And I think I'll send you the YouTube link.
Yeah, please do.
The last song we played, and I came down, took a bow with everybody.
Stop.
And so the story goes, it was this bus. We had a bus driver out there, and he was real cool. He ate with us, and he was chilling with us, and we played very late. We played very late. A lot of times, I'm the type, I'm super chill, but some people be like, yo, you look like you're about to knock out. But I'm just like, nah, I'm alright. So he was like, you gonna be alright? So you gonna be alright to play? I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just, just waiting or whatever. And so I started dozing off. I started dozing off, and the bus driver, he's like, he barely spoke in English. He's like, I don't know, I'm gonna play the drums. So we got up there. And we played. It had to be one of the best played shows I've probably ever played. with John, and it was just amazing, just the vibe of it. Like Brazil is one of my favorite places to actually play because the vibe you get from the people there, like when they love you, they love you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were singing all the songs, and it was just like, it was special, man. And so we finished playing. I'm like soaking wet, and I take off my shirt, got the towel on, and put on my hoodie, and John is talking to everybody and signing stuff, and like the bus driver, he was there, he like pulled me to the side, and like he started tearing up, and he gave me a hug.
Aww.
And I was just like, I always hug people back, and I like the reaction I got from him, but it just like he was pointing, and he was like doing his hands like this, as far as me playing drums, and then he was pointing at his heart. So he was just like, he was like, I just felt, I just felt you all night, and it was just like, to me it was like amazing. And he just grabbed me again, and he was like crying and giving me a hug, and I was like, I was trying like not to cry myself.
Yeah.
Because like, that, to me that means more, that's music transcending, language barrier,
Right.
Just special to me that, he even like, even though he didn't know me, he was comfortable enough to have that moment with me. So it was just like, man.
That is a real gift.
So I was
That
just
is a
like,
real
cool beans, man. But I was like,
Those beans.
it's kind of late, man. Can we go back to the hotel now? It was about, because we finished playing, we went on, I think at maybe, it was either 1 or 1:30 in the morning.
You went on?
Yes, and it's a 90-minute show. So you get finished playing at 2:45, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then still having to wait and like.
Right. So I have to ask, how did you end up getting that gig? Like, John's that's not small potatoes. Like, how did that happen?
John is a cool guy, man. And what you call it? Sorry. That gig is so crazy. So, all right. I was freelancing summer of, from September 2012, I was freelancing, and I met this bass player, James McCoy. I met him at this gig that we did for free.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
Yeah, you might have.
Okay.
He's a great bass player. Sorry, and
It's okay.
we did this gig for free, and it was my first time meeting him. He was like, "Oh, you sound pretty good. You can play jazz." He was like, "Can you read music?" I said, "Yeah, I can." And he liked my feel, the way I made the music move. And so he hit me up to do this gig with this guy named Earl Turner from Vegas, but it was like a lot of condo shows here that we're gonna do. We're gonna do the older homes, the country clubs, that type of vibe through South Florida. And then one of the musicians that was filling in was this piano player named Pete Wallace. Pete is one of the coolest dudes ever, and he randomly asked me on one of the gigs to fill in and for John, and it worked out that way. And then filled in for a couple more, and then was doing the gig for a little bit.
That's amazing.
So it was like from about probably December 2013 through earlier this year. I was playing for John on and off.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. Cool. So you've mentioned Brazil. Where else have you been able to travel from doing your drumming?
I've been to Jamaica, the Bahamas. I've been to Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Where else? And then, just through the States, and then Canada a couple times. Still haven't been to Europe, Africa, or Asia yet, but I'm looking forward to getting there someday.
Get out that world map, because it's going to be full of pins. I know you're going to be you're going to be hitting up everywhere.
My passport is stamped pretty nice right now.
That's
good. I'm trying to add more to it.
That's good. I think you will. Where's your biggest hope that drumming takes you?
Oh man, I gotta play a show like at Madison Square Garden. Like, to me, like being a kid, just a regular kid from Brooklyn, New York, and just seeing like some of the greats play there. I just saw Stevie Wonder play there a couple days, November 24th actually, this past year, and it was just like, oh my gosh.
That wasn't the tree lighting. No.
No, this was a Stevie Wonder concert.
Oh.
At Madison Square Garden, like 4 hours of music.
Oh my
Just about.
God.
So it was bananas. So yeah, you know, and I'm just sitting there.
Didn't Richie play with him?
They did this thing back in the day with I think it's one of those projects that never got released when Stevie was on the whole reggae vibe.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and he said he was living out in L.A. for a couple
It's kind of cool. You're like 1 to 3 away from Stevie Wonder, and then you're sitting there watching him. And,
exactly. It's crazy because my mom, speaking of Stevie, my mom, she told me that, you know, that's one of the first concerts my dad took her to when she was pregnant with me, you know, after they were married. So it's like to come full circle and 28 years later just be able to sit down and see it, and it's like,
of course.
Wow.
Well, you know, they say that what a baby hears when he's in the belly, you know, hears, tastes, all of that influences how the brain develops. So Stevie was an early influence for you, I think.
Exactly.
I mean, good job, Dad, for taking your mom to that concert.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. You're the man.
There you go.
I tell him that all the time.
Okay, so the last thing I want to ask you is, what are your top 10 favorite things? And you can't name people.
I can't name people?
No, you can't name people.
And can I name drums?
Of course.
Alright, I love drums, one. Can I say like family?
Okay, you can go to that. I'll say
Family
that.
is two. Number 3 is...
Okay, now I have to know.
10 favorite things?
Yeah.
This is hard. Just music overall.
Okay.
So that's 3. What else do I love?
Oh, come on. One of them you have to give me. I commented on it as soon as I saw you.
My shoes, man. My shoes. I have too many.
How many pairs of shoes do you have?
I'm not even going to answer that question for you. I have quite a bit. I have quite a bit of shoes.
Yeah.
I do love clothes.
Uh-huh.
Bringing joy to people.
There you go.
I love pizza.
Oh, always good.
I don't want to say I'm going to say chicken because, I mean, people that know me, they be like, yo, come on, Nat, you don't love chicken?
They're gonna have your butt if you don't say chicken.
Come on. And bacon. I'm sorry.
Bacon.
That's number 9.
Okay, one more thing.
And then life.
Life.
Just life. Just being able to be alive.
There you go.
What a time to be alive.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Great podcast, man.
Oh, man. Thank you for having me.
Anything else you want to talk about real quick? Anything coming up with you and Black Violin or any other?
We got a show at the Broward Center Friday, February 6th.
Okay.
And I think that's the only local show we'll be doing here for a while. I mean, we'll be in Sarasota January 12th also.
Okay.
And so I don't know.
Where can people find out information on you or?
Well, if you can find me on Facebook, Nathaniel Nat Stokes, or on Instagram at Nat_Stokes, and just you can hit me up directly.
Okay.
I'm not a snob. I reply back. I reply.
Okay, this interview's over.
Right.
You're breaking down verbally.
I reply back, and then you have the Facebook.com/Black Violin and BlackViolin.net. You can check out the tour schedule on there.
Awesome. I'm so excited that you hooked up with them. I'm so excited about
man,
that.
they're good kids, man. I love them.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you. Yeah, do you want to sign off the podcast? Super easy. All you're gonna do is, hey, this has been Nat Stokes, or however you want to say it, whatever, with Curve the Cube.
Okay. Yo, what's going on? It's Nat Stokes with Curve the Cube. Thank you for listening in. Did I say that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Should I say that again, or like?
I liked how you did it.
The way you looked, it was kind of like. I don't know.
No, I think it was awesome. I think it was perfection the way you did it. It was perfection. Let's leave it alone. Let's not touch perfection. Loved it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you want to sign my guest book?
Yeah.
All the I'm gonna auction it off once it's full
Nice.
for my favorite charity, Little Smile.
You have successfully curved the cube.